Hey YouTube, what's going on? You are tuned into the Straight SRT8 YouTube channel, and today I want to talk to you all about exhaust systems. I want to explain how a exhaust pipe diameter, like a 3-inch versus 2.75, actually makes quite a big difference. I want to explain how the exhaust gases work, and then I want to get into how to actually tune your solo performance exhaust using those adjustable J-tips, and talking about how they work, why they work, and how to best optimize it. And then I also want to discuss how resonators and mufflers work. So yeah, let's get to it. Alright guys, so here we are under the Jeep. And right here we have our resonators. One on this side, one on the other side. And then further downstream, which we'll get to in a second, there is a second set of resonators. And the resonators help remove unwanted noises that we don't want to hear. Now these can usually be very low end ranges. They're very similar to a cabin drone where it's very, very deep and it can get very annoying over time. So they help remove those noises that we don't want to hear. Now the solo performance exhaust still offers a very rich and mean exhaust note. So there's still definitely that deep, raw noise to it. But it removes those very, very low frequency noises that create a lot of humming noise that can be very annoying while driving a vehicle. Now these are the first set of resonators, and downstream a little bit further there's a second set of resonators. We also have right here an H pipe. So two very modern and options for exhaust are either an H pipe or an X pipe, and depending on your application you either want to do an H pipe or an X pipe. And I do know that the Jeeps have aftermarket options out there for a Corsa to offer an X pipe instead of an H pipe, but the solo performance exhaust comes with the H pipe exhaust system. This will either way, whether you do an H pipe or X pipe, it allows the pressure differential in between your cylinders to neutralize, and it provides more optimum airflow and horsepower that way. So now we talked about the first resonators, let's get back to our second set of resonators. Alright, so here we are under the car again. This is the rear tire right here, and this is your second set of resonators. So there's one right here, and then the other side, kind of follow the exhaust back, here's differential, and then here is your second resonator. So again, these do the exact same thing. They allow those unwanted frequencies to be eliminated by passing through these filters and filtering out the very low or very high pitched sounds we don't want to hear. After your resonators, we get to our J pipes. So here, right here, we kind of follow it down. Here's the exhaust tip. It comes out right through here. And then before it does that, it has a J pipe right here. Follows around and goes up. Let me try and move the camera for you guys. Here we go. Goes right here through this J pipe, right here to our adjustable J tips. So let me just try and get a better angle for you. Let's see. Alright. So these J tips are actually adjustable, and you use a 15mm socket, and I loosen this nut right here. And then once you do, these J-tips actually wiggle out, so you can actually pull them and twist them. And you can adjust how far in you want this J-tip to go. They go about 4 inches in, depending on how close you can possibly get it. Now, once you get in as far as you possibly can, this extra push out right here, it stops the J-tip from going any further. So the farthest you can go in is about 4 inches. And then once you go out, there's actually part of the frame right here, which I don't know if you can see it or not. But, try to move the camera. So right here, you can kind of see it. This is actually part of the frame. So if your J-tips go out too far, they touch this, and it starts vibrating off of this, and makes a real lot of noises that you do not want to hear. So, let's go ahead and pull this J-tip out, and I'll show you how it looks. Alright, so this is your J-tip. This is the adjustable portion that either goes into your exhaust or out of your exhaust. You can see it's open cylinder on one side, and the other side is a closed off cylinder. And so then you kind of push this in and adjust it, and then this allows your frequency ranges to be changed. Now what I did do was I put it in with the end facing outwards, and then I also put it in vice versa and had this end facing inwards, and I adjusted it. So I actually got a total of 8 inches of adjustability out of this thing instead of just 4 inches. I was hoping that I could get more adjustability and then finer tune my frequency response of this in order to eliminate some drone. Unfortunately, it didn't work the way I planned it would, but I do want to describe to you how this works and why it works, and how it works pretty well actually for your MDS system. Now my car has been tuned and I had the MDS turned off, so I no longer need this for MDS, but I do want to try and use it for the 8-cylinder mode, because right around 1500 to 2000 RPMs, there is quite a bit of cabin drone going on, and it's a little bit annoying. So I tried using this guy to tune it out. Now this was designed to work for the MDS system, to go after the MDS drone, not to go after the 8-cylinder drone. So unfortunately, it works good for MDS. It works okay for the 8-cylinder mode drone, but it definitely doesn't get rid of all those noises I want to hear between 1,000 or between 1,500 and 2,000 RPMs. Because when you're driving down the road, you're on average in between 1,500 and 2,000 doing normal driving. Anything above 2,000 I don't really care about, because that's when I'm racing the vehicle and really harping on it, so I don't hear the exhaust anyway. But when I'm trying to be quiet and mellow and just drive around the city, between 1,500 and 2,000 RPMs is where I'm at. And I was hoping to tune this guy to remove those noises. Didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to, and I'll explain why in a second. So this is the adjustable portion of the J-tip. You can push it in, you can pull it out. I twisted to pull it in now, it makes it a little bit easier for me. But it does slide just in and out, and it's just a straight cylinder like I showed you before. So this portion of the J-tip can go in 4 inches and it can go out 4 inches. So right now I'm showing it out, almost fully extended the full 4 inches. Now the way this thing works is, as soon as your car starts up and you get your gases coming down here from your exhaust, they're going to have a certain frequency response. And as they travel down further down the tube, you get a lower and lower frequency range. So as soon as the gases get to here, they're going to bounce off this end cap and reverberate backwards. And they're going to cancel out whatever noises are coming out from the engine that meet or match this length of the tubing, which corresponds to a certain frequency. So the same way a radio equalizer works, on the left-hand side you have your lower end, more bass sounds, your lower notes, which are like cabin drone noises. And then towards the right, you get higher pitch noises, which are like your mid-range and your treble. This works the exact same way. The further out your J-tip is, it catches the lower portions of the frequency, and the closer in it is, it catches the higher portions of the frequency. So if your goal is to remove drone, which we are for both the MDS and for a regular 8-cylinder mode, you want to have this extended pretty far in order to match the exact frequency you're experiencing inside the cabin caused by a cabin drone. So as this is pushed out further, whatever frequency falls right here is going to be captured, reverberated, and then canceled out in the exhaust. And then as you move it closer and closer, whatever frequency is caught right here or right here or right here, the exact same thing is going to happen, where it's going to catch those frequencies, bounce them off the exhaust system, and send that sound back through to your exhaust tips, and it's going to cancel out right there, thus removing that exact frequency noise from your exhaust. Now, when you adjust these things, obviously, as your exhaust gets modified, due to whether you do headers, whether you do a cold air intake, a throttle body, a tune, whatever it may be, as you adjust your car, you're going to want to adjust these J-tips accordingly to make sure that the exhaust frequency that you're catching ends up getting adjusted properly and then pushed back out the car. Now, for my exact vehicle, I haven't pushed out this far because of my mods that I have done to the car, and my goal is to try and eliminate the drone going on in between 1,500 and 2,000 RPMs. Right around that rep range, or that RPM range, is where most of my daily driving's done. As soon as I start racing the car, I get above those frequencies and I get above the RPM range, and that's not a concern for me, because at that point in time I'm trying to show off or race the car or whatever it may be. But during daily driving, I want the car to be as quiet as possible to eliminate that drone, and that's where this length does it for me. Now keep in mind that these are designed for the MDS system. So the MDS system is going to be pushed in a little bit further in order to capture that frequency. However, I turned off the MDS and tuned my car and did a bunch of mods to it, and so the furthest out portion for me is the best option. Now also keep in mind that you don't want to have your J-tips touching this portion of your weld, or where your pinch welds are, because it's going to vibrate off of this and cause a lot of noise. So I have them pushed out as far as possible without actually touching that. Also keep in mind that these are on rubber mounts, so this whole exhaust system is going to wiggle. So as I show you the pinch welds right here, if I move the exhaust in and out, you can see it wiggles quite a bit. So keep in mind that you don't want to have it come real close to that pinch weld, because as soon as you do and the car starts, you're going to vibrate off of that pinch weld, and it's going to make your whole frame vibrate and make noise. So keep that in mind. So that kind of covers how the J-tips work, why they work, the science behind it. Now I want to discuss the diameter tubing being used on the Solo Performance exhaust. So as I mentioned before, these are 3-inch pipes, and the stock SRT exhaust has a 2.75-inch pipe or a 3/4-inch pipe, because that's what SRT engineers determine as the optimum diameter for expelling those exhaust gases out the car. Now keep in mind that the more narrow diameter of a tube, that means you get quicker gases flowing through there, but a higher pressure differential. And the larger the tube, it's a less effort, less pressure to push through the tube, but the gases move a lot slower. Now the actual diameter of the tube is very important because it's sized for the engine. So obviously, engine's like an air pump that wants to take in air and push it out as easily as possible. The less effort it takes pushing out and expelling air, the more power goes to the wheels. So the SRT engineers determined that 2.75 inches is optimal for the stock engine. Now obviously, as you push in and pull out more air, you want larger tubing. Thus, Solo has the 3-inch performance exhaust. Now on a stock engine with no mods, you are going to notice a slight difference in horsepower, torque, and throttle response. And again, that's because you have a larger tube and slower moving gases. But once you start doing mods to the vehicle, and you do cams, headers, maybe you want to do a blower on there too. As soon as you do all that, you're going to be pushing in and pulling out a lot more air, which means you're going to need a larger exhaust to accommodate that. Alright guys, so the next thing I want to discuss are mufflers. So we talked about pipe diameter, talked about resonators, and now I want to discuss to you mufflers. So mufflers, again, are inline to the exhaust system, and they're going to have kind of a flow obstruction kind of to them. So, it kind of draws on the ground as your exhaust is coming through. The muffler will be a box. The exhaust will come in one portion, and then another portion will come out of the exhaust. So in and out, and that's how a muffler works. It kind of slows down the gases as they come flying in. They kind of slow down, go around the pen, and then come back out. So that kind of obstruction is, of course, on purpose. There's also going to be some filters inside that muffler system to kind of quiet the exhaust down as well as slow it down, which is why mufflers kind of tend to inhibit performance a little bit. Stock ones do quite a bit because they want the car to be very quiet. You can also buy, of course, performance mufflers, which also do slow down the exhaust a little bit, but not as much as stock ones, and thus you can get a little more sound out of them while gaining a little bit more performance. Now, one thing I do want to mention about my Solo exhaust is that, as you see right here, it's pretty clear. There's no rust on it, but right here there's rust, and right here there's rust. Now, this is my daily driver. It has gone through some of the road salt, which is why it's rusting. Now, the Solo exhaust does come in true stainless through and through, but there are different grades of stainless, so that's why this portion of the stainless is rust-free, and that is not. It's also why the Solo Performance exhaust is a little bit cheaper. They also use, again, the 3-inch tubing, which is probably cheaper to source than the 2 3/4 inch, and then they use different grades of stainless. Now, from a personal viewpoint, I prefer having the higher quality stainless through and through. The way the car looks better from underneath. However, the Solo exhaust only comes in this option, which is using the cheaper stainless. But anyway, guys, that's my entire video. We kind of talked about pipe diameter, resonators, mufflers, talked about how to adjust your J-tips, and then my thoughts on the Solo exhaust. Yeah, a lot more content on the way. If you guys like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Now, I will give you a teaser real quick on the next video I'm doing, and that's going to be in reference to the leather inside your vehicle. So if you want to maintain this look and feel of the leather, you're going to want to do something to it, because the leather over time fades, of course, and gets a little bit dry. So you're going to want to restore that shine and luster to it. I have a secret on how to do that, and that is in the next video coming up, how to maintain that shine and that luster of your leather and make it look nice and deep and rich. So that's coming up next. Thanks, guys.